we said earlier on, he plays left side of pretty much whatever defence he's in. Virgil van Dijk occupies that space for us. So we are immediately looking at, could he be the successor? Because we've got 2 more years of Virgil, as we know, but who knows what happens after that. So there's a potential there. But short term, you said it yourself, he clearly is going to want to play. World Cup year, game time will be imperative to the sales pitch. So the right-sided centre-back role comes into question. I assume he's done it, is the first port of call, but the fact he is essentially right-footed but very comfortable on both means it feels like quite an easy fit and quite a natural thing for him to do as well.
Yeah, I think this is the interesting part of Liverpool being linked with Marc Guehi, really, because so first of all, we've got is he going to ever be a replacement for Van Dijk? Well, as you say, Van Dijk's got a couple more years now, so that much celebrated contract extension, and he was superb last season, Van Dijk. Much like Salah, no sign that he's suddenly going to drop off a cliff and be coming out of the team. So, in terms of if he's just being signed as deputy to Van Dijk, well, Van Dijk seems to play pretty much every game. He's very durable, isn't he? And I can't see in a World Cup year why Marc Guehi would go and sit on the bench at Liverpool behind Van Dijk and sign up for that. In terms of going on the right side, obviously Konaté's been excellent as well for Liverpool, isn't he? I know there's some uncertainty about his future with his contract situation as well. But if he were to come onto the right side, I think back to those conversations about his technical ability and his schooling and at Chelsea, and probably there is an adaptability that he could have there and move on to that right side. It might take a little bit of time. Is that something that Liverpool are prepared to do, to coach him into that, from rediscovering those angles from that right side and the different way you have to play that? Because I feel like the defending and the way the team's signed defenders now has got so specific in terms of like this side. Growing up, I don't think it really mattered which side the centre backs were, but it seems to have become a bigger and bigger talking point, I guess, as they are asked to do so much more with the ball as well in terms of building from the back as well. But one question that I was going to put to you as well, in terms of someone who thinks so much about this Liverpool team and how it's set up and how it might be set up in the future, is we've obviously seen Trent Alexander-Arnold depart, and Frimpong's come in, a player who plays so high up on the right previously and loves to get forward. And you've obviously got Kierkegaard who loves bombing down that left side as well. I wonder if there's a potential or a thought in Arne Slot's mind about, could there ever be a back three at Liverpool where you have a Guehi, Van Dijk sitting as he gets older, having to do less of the stepping out, but can lead that team, and with his knowledge and reading of the game, you've got Konaté on the right and the two wing backs bombing on. And as we've said already, Guehi potentially stepping into midfield and contributing passes from that position. And that would obviously allow him to continue on that left side of the defence, as we know that he likes to do in the back three for Palace.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's most definitely consideration. And almost as I was asking the question a moment ago, it was in my back of my mind going, a free would make a lot of sense, especially when you do consider how the full backs like to play. And you're right, they're absolutely all action, full of energy. They'll get up and down for you. But I think if you had it their way, certainly for Frimpong, he would rather be in the final third of the opposition's half as opposed to the other way around. So yeah, it's definitely something I think we could do. It would be, given the fact what we did last season and given the fact what Arne Slot has done in his career to date, it would be quite removed from the norm, I think it's fair to say. Yeah. But I do think that the players that we are linked with, stroke signed, do lend themselves to that, most definitely, yeah. And I also, just while we're on it, I do wonder though, however, if we're going to stick to sort of the system and the formation that we play, I think we'll see more of, because the fullbacks are likely to be so high, I think we'll see more of whoever the six is will drop in. We've seen Gravenberch do it a little bit last season. Endo's certainly very adept at doing that. So I think we'll make it a free that way as opposed to the other way.
Yeah, I think that's right. I just when I was thinking about it, it seems to make sense further up the pitch as well in terms of, Salah and his longevity. I think is perhaps coming slightly more in field. You can imagine him and maybe Gakpo as sort of two, not necessarily centre forwards, but those two attacking players in that central area with Wirtz behind, and say Gravenberch and McAllister behind. You could make it looks good on paper, I think, if you drew it out on paper. But as you say, it's not the way that Slot's played through his career, and not what you've been used to previously seeing at Liverpool. But that's why I think the Guehi to Liverpool link is quite interesting, because I think it would require a shift from Liverpool, or it would require a shift from Guehi to make it work seamlessly, which is an interesting one where I think maybe would Liverpool not be targeting a more right-sided centre-back, someone like Konza at Aston Villa, who could come in there, who's got that experience of playing right-back and right centre-back, and could fill in those gaps where Frimpong bombing on and step into those positions himself. So, yeah, it's an intriguing one, interesting one, gives us lots to talk about.
No, most definitely, yeah, and that's absolutely right, because again, that has been away from the attributes conversation that we've had about Marc Guehi. It then does sort of follow that you're going to speak about where does he play, and immediately you go, well, he's renowned for just playing on the left side of defences, but again, Virgil van Dijk owns that position, so what's got to give almost, you know what I mean? But I do think it opens up a world of possibilities, and that in-game flexibility.
Yeah, and I think the other point we should say, Dan, is the price point as well. So does this make more sense for Liverpool to go and get Marc Guehi on a free transfer next summer, once he's had as I say, he's had that European adventure with Crystal Palace. He's had all the game time he needs going into the World Cup, where I'm pretty sure he's going to be England's first choice centre-back in that team for Thomas Tuchel. And then, Liverpool can get him on a free. Van Dijk's a year further down the road and is perhaps then looking to manage his minutes from that following season, and that's where Guehi can come in and almost be blooded then as the successor as well. And I just remember last summer when Newcastle was so desperate to get him, they had multiple bids rejected. I think they got up to around £65 million in terms of the total package, and Palace still said no. Yes, I know he's only got a year left on his contract, but Steve Parish saying, superstar players require superstar fees. I find it hard to believe that, when Jarell Quansah's just gone for 30 plus 5, I think it is, to Bayer Leverkusen. I find it hard to believe that Palace would look at that market and say, Marc Guehi, our captain, our leader, is only worth £5 million more in terms of total package. I think it's about 40 million that Liverpool would want to spend, if that's right. So just some elements of this don't quite add up for me. Fantastic player, and I think he's got the potential there to really be a good player for Liverpool, but I wonder if it's 12 months down the road that this deal really works for all parties.
No, absolutely, and that is definitely a consideration that I've had in my mind, because, as you say, Liverpool aren't adverse to just saying, well, that price doesn't work for us, so we'll just walk away and we'll pursue somebody else, or we'll wait. This is kind of how we operate. And I know Palace are also very sort of hardball in terms of their approach to things as well. You mentioned the Newcastle stuff last year, and obviously, again, they will have a price. Steve Parish will have a price in mind, and if Liverpool don't reach that price, Guehi will stay. And whether that's for the betterment of Palace, because obviously we'll walk away for nothing, that's a different conversation entirely. But yeah, and also I think we'll have a clearer picture on Canate then, obviously in terms of what the future holds for him. But you mentioned the Quansah thing there. I think Liverpool, for what it's worth, are almost looking just to go straight swap. Almost, if you like, plus a couple of million here and there, maybe. If you get Quansah out of the squad, a few years younger, of course, potentially high ceilings, a buyback clause on him, so we'll wait and see there. But if you go Quansah out, Guehi in, you add in, again, a few more years experience, England's recognition, seniority in terms of leadership, 100 odd more Premier League appearances. Liverpool's squad looks better for it at pretty much the same price. That's the business we're trying to do. But again, I do wonder whether we might have to just hold our breath and wait for it further down the line. But to round off then, I take it from everything you've said, everything you've spoken about, every conversation you've had about Marc Guehi, everything you've watched, know about him, etc. If indeed the move does come to fruition this summer, and he is a Liverpool player by the end of the window, I assume you believe he will be a success.
Oh, this is a player who had no trouble stepping into the spotlight of Liverpool and Anfield and all the pressure that brings. This is a top player, so a fantastic age in terms of the potential where he could still go over the next few years. Is all that experience that he's already building up improves his game even further. And yeah, Marc Guehi, he's going to be playing right at the top, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's Liverpool. But as I say, maybe not just yet. But I think you can see certainly in terms of his personality, in terms of his technical skills, in terms of the aggression that he can defend with, and the quality that he's got on the ball, that this is a player made for the right at the top end of the Premier League, definitely.
Absolutely love that, Peter. Wonderful. Brilliant way to finish as well. Thank you so much for your time. Let people know where they can find you and your work and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm even over on there with the kids. If you just search for Peter Smith XI, as in Football 11 XI, you'll track me down there. But I'm on Sky Sports as well, of course.
Wonderful, top man. Thank you so much for your time once again. Everybody else, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care. I'll see you soon.